The cavernous corporate library was Elias Vance's sanctuary, a silent kingdom he ruled from 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. His first stop after clocking in was always there, pushing his cleaning cart ahead of him like a chariot. But tonight, his most precious cargo followed behind, his 6-year-old twins, Leo and Maya. Their usual childcare had fallen through, and the risk of bringing them was a terrifying necessity. This job, with its vital health insurance, was their lifeline. For now, the library was their playground. 1 hour, he signed, his hands moving with a fluid grace, then homework at the breakroom table. Leo, serious and thoughtful, headed for the astronomy section while Maya, a whirlwind of freckles and energy, dashed toward the graphic novels. Elias began his work, the familiar scent of lemon polish and old paper a small comfort against his low thrum of anxiety. The peace shattered when Maya came sprinting around a bookshelf, her small face etched with panic, her hands flying. Leo is stuck. The big ladder. He can't get down. Elias's heart seized. He found Leo clinging white-knuckled 10 feet up on the rolling ladder, trembling, too terrified to move. "I'm here, buddy." Elias called out, knowing Leo couldn't hear but hoping his presence was felt. He signed, "I am here. Do not move." He scaled the sturdy bookshelves himself, muscles straining, until he reached his son. "I was scared," Leo signed, one hand gripping the ladder. "Brave men get scared," Elias signed back. "They just ask for help. Now, onto my back." Leo latched on, and Elias began the careful climb down. Kneeling, he pulled both children into a fierce, silent hug, his world narrowed to their safety. He was so immersed in their quiet world that he didn't hear the elevator ding or the sharp footsteps on marble. He only felt the sudden change in the air. He looked up. CEO Elara Thorne, the legendary Ice Queen of Aethelred Tech, stood frozen at the end of the aisle, her sharp eyes fixed on the scene of the janitor and his children. Elias's blood ran cold. Termination. He moved to shield the twins. "Miss Thorne, I can explain," but she wasn't looking at him with anger. Her gaze was locked on the children. And then, she moved her hands. "Are you both okay?" she signed, the movement slightly formal but perfectly clear. The mighty CEO was signing, and Elias could only stare, utterly bewildered, as his entire world tilted on its axis. The silence in the library was absolute, thick enough to feel. Elias's heart hammered against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat of dread. The CEO of the entire company had just signed to his deaf children. He stood frozen, one arm still instinctively curved around Leo and Maya, his mind screaming through the employee handbook's clauses on gross misconduct and immediate termination. This job was their anchor, losing it was unthinkable. Elara Thorne broke the stalemate, her voice softer than he'd ever heard it, devoid of its usual cutting precision. "They're deaf," she stated, her sharp gray eyes still fixed on the twins. "Yes," Elias managed, the word a rough scrape in his throat. She took a hesitant step forward, a gesture so uncharacteristic it was jarring. My brother," she began, the word seeming to cost her something, "he was deaf. I learned to sign for him." Her gaze flickered to Elias, and he saw a profound vulnerability there, a crack in the famed Ice Queen's facade. "I haven't used it in a long time." Maya, ever the bold one, peeked out from behind her father's legs. She signed, "Your signs are old-fashioned." A sound escaped Elara, a short, startled breath that was almost a laugh. "I suppose they are," she signed back, a genuine, small smile touching her lips. "You will have to teach me the new ones." She looked from the children to his cleaning cart, his uniform, their schoolbooks. The pieces were clicking into place. "Your childcare fell through?" "Yes, ma'am," he said, bracing for the dismissal. "Their sitter is sick. It won't happen again. I'll accept any consequences." But her expression wasn't cold. It was contemplative, almost sad. "How do you manage? The nights? Their needs?" The personal question disarmed him. We sleep during the day. I work nights so I can take them to school and their therapies. We make it work. She was silent for a long moment, her eyes tracing the weary lines on his face, the protective set of his shoulders. She saw a father, not just a rule-breaking employee. The policy is for security and productivity, she said, her CEO voice returning briefly before softening again. Bringing them to a silent library to read seems to satisfy the spirit of that rule. Consider this a manager's discretion. The wave of relief was so potent it left him lightheaded. Thank you, Miss Thorne. Thank you. Elara, she corrected quietly. After hours, it's Elara. With a final nod to the twins, she turned and left, her heels clicking a fading rhythm on the marble. Elias sank into a chair, his legs weak. Leo tugged on his sleeve. Was that the boss? She's pretty. Maya added, and she knows our language. Elias could only nod, the world feeling suddenly, and disorientingly, upside down. The next night, Elias arrived for his shift with a knot of anxiety coiled tightly in his stomach. The pristine lobby and the silent, empty library felt like a held breath, and he half expected a stern HR manager to be waiting for him with a termination letter. He began his rounds with a heightened vigilance, the twins settling quietly with their books, while he jumped at every distant echo. The confrontation didn't come during his cleaning duties, but later, during his break. He was in the small, sterile breakroom, patiently helping Maya sound out words for her reading homework, shaping the vowels with his mouth for her to read his lips, while Leo practiced his writing beside them. The door swished open, and there she was. Elara Thorne had changed out of her executive armor into dark jeans and a simple black sweater, her hair down. She looked less like a titan of industry and more like someone he might actually know. In her hands was a small paper bag. I was working late, she said, her voice lacking its usual formal edge. She offered the bag. I remembered my brother loved these. They're brownies from the bakery downstairs. I thought, maybe Leo and Maya would like them. Elias was stunned by the gesture. That's incredibly kind. Thank you. Maya, seeing the treat, lit up and signed a quick, enthusiastic thank you, which Leo echoed more shyly. Elara hesitated. Would it be all right if I sat for a moment? Of course, Elias said, the offer feeling both surreal and strangely natural. The boss's chair is always available. This time, she gave a real smile. I think the breakroom qualifies as your territory, Elias. She sat, watching as the twins happily devoured the brownies. What are you working on? She asked Maya. The little girl pushed her book forward, pointing to a difficult word. And just like that, an impossible scene unfolded. The billionaire CEO spent her evening break in a janitor's break room, patiently helping a little deaf girl with her reading, her hands moving in quiet, careful signs. Elias watched, a strange warmth unfolding in his chest. He saw the loneliness in her eyes when she spoke of her brother, the intelligent, caring woman buried under the weight of her title. They talked. He told her about losing his wife, the struggle and joy of raising the twins alone. She spoke of her brother Michael, how his death had led her to seal away that part of her life, pouring everything into the company instead. Night after night, her working late coincided with his break. Their meetings became a ritual. She brought books and learning apps, he brought a perspective on resilience and simple joy. The Ice Queen was thawing, and Elias, against all logic, was captivated by the woman emerging from the melt. A month later, Elias was buffing the gleaming floors of the executive suite, the twins finally with a new, vetted sitter, a recommendation from Elara herself. The world had shifted on its axis, but the familiar routine was a comfort. His phone vibrated, a text from Elara lighting up the screen, my office. When you have a moment. E. The formal tone sent a shiver of doubt through him. Had the unusual camaraderie of the breakroom been a mistake she now regretted? Had he overstepped? The elevator ride to the top floor was a long ascent into uncertainty. Her assistant waved him in immediately. Elara's office was a panorama of glass and steel, the city lights sprawling beneath them like a carpet of stars. She wasn't behind her monumental desk but standing by the window, her posture tense. "Elias," she said, turning. "Please, close the door." He did, his mind bracing for the worst. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," she began, clasping her hands. "Our diversity and inclusion initiative is robust, on paper. But it's missing something real, something tangible. We develop communication software for millions, yet we have no one who truly understands the deaf and hard of hearing experience on a personal level." She took a steadying breath, her gaze locking with his. "I want to create a new position, head of accessibility innovation. I need someone brilliant, patient, who understands the problem space intimately. Someone who can bridge two worlds." She took a step toward him, her gray eyes fierce and sincere. "I need you, Elias." He stared, certain he had misheard. "Me? Elara, I'm a janitor." "I don't have a, you have a PhD in real life," she interrupted, her voice firm. "You are one of the most resourceful, capable people I know. You've taught your children to navigate a world not built for them. You've taught me more about communication than my entire board. The title is just words. The skills, you already have them. I'll provide the training for the rest." She picked up a folder from her desk. "The salary is triple your current one. Daytime hours. Full benefits. And an on-site creche for Leo and Maya, with staff trained in ASL." Tears pricked his eyes. It wasn't a job offer, it was a new life, a validation of every struggle. It was her belief in him, made manifest. "Why," was all he could whisper. Her expression softened. She came to stand before him, close enough that he could see the gold flecks in her eyes. "Because you and your children didn't just walk into my library that night," she said, her voice barely audible. "You walked into my life. And you reminded me what it sounds like." He understood. She meant the sound of connection, of a heart opening after being closed for too long. "So," she said, a hopeful smile gracing her lips. "What do you say?" Elias looked at this formidable, vulnerable woman who had seen a janitor and chosen to see a partner. He thought of Leo and Maya, of a future where he didn't have to choose between providing for them and being present for them. He took the folder, his fingers brushing against hers, a spark of warmth passing between them. "I say yes," Elias said, his voice clear and strong, a smile finally breaking through. "I say thank you. For everything." In the quiet office high above the world, two people from different worlds had found a common language, and they both knew it was only the beginning.